So I figured I'd go through something that almost no Jehovah's Witnesses have ever seen, the Elder's Handbook. Regular Jehovah's Witnesses aren't allowed to see this. Females aren't even supposed to touch the book, and if somebody has it spiral bound, it has to be done by another Jehovah's Witness, and they have to stand there and watch while it happens. It's the 2017 edition. It can be found in a few places online. Just do an Ask Jeeves search for it, and you should find it no problem. That's what the kids are using nowadays, right? Ask Jeeves? Or is the big thing America Online now? Anyways, it's called the Shepherding the Flock book, and it covers etiquette, rules, and standards that elders should follow when doing their elder thing. It's pretty interesting stuff. I was taking a look through it the other day because I'd heard it wasn't a disfellowshipping offense to talk to disfellowshipped family members, but it is a disfellowshipping offense to talk to disfellowshipped friends. So let's take a look at the Elder's Handbook and see what it has to say about disfellowshipping. Let's get into it. Okay, so the very first thing I did when I got this book was flip straight to the section on disfellowshipping to get an answer to my question. Let's take a look-see here. Chapter 10, paragraph 6, page 116. Here's what it says. If members of the congregation are known to have undue association with disfellowshipped or disassociated relatives who are not in the household, elders should counsel and reason with those members of the congregation from the scriptures. Review with them information from the God's Love book, pages 207 to 208. The Watchtower of April 15th, 1988, pages 26 to 30, or the article Display Christian Loyalty When a Relative is Disfellowshipped in the August 2002 Our Kingdom Ministry. If it's clear that a Christian is violating the spirit of the disfellowshipping decree in this regard and does not respond to counsel, it may be that he would not qualify for congregation privileges, which require one to be exemplary. He would not be dealt with judicially unless there is persistent spiritual association or he openly criticizes the disfellowshipping decision. Oh, that's interesting. So it's basically saying that talking to disfellowshipped family members will get your quote-unquote privileges revoked, but it won't get you disfellowshipped yourself. For outsiders, when Jehovah's Witnesses talk about privileges, what they mean is they'll let you work for them. They'll let you set up the sound system and carry microphones and give talks at the podium and lead service groups and all that good stuff. Well, the next logical question is, what privileges would my mom lose if she talked to me? The answer? None. She's a woman. She doesn't have any privileges by default. 1 Timothy 2:12. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet. So my mom would be allowed to talk to me about non-spiritual matters without facing any consequences at all. Though they did mention one thing in there about visiting the person and reading from the God's Love book, pages 207 and 208. And they also mentioned the Watchtower of April 15th, 1988, pages 26 to 30. So let's take a quick look at what the God's Love book says. Okay, so quick aside before we actually read it. I was looking through the God's Love book and I checked page 207, but I got the large print copy, so the page numbers are different. And page 207 of this copy has, in big bold letters, should I accept a Christmas bonus? So many things to talk about here, so little time. Okay, let's just come back to this. As tempting as it is to go down this rabbit hole, I'd like to get to this disfellowshipping thing. So I found the section they were talking about in the Elder's Handbook. In the large print edition of this book, it's on page 267. A section called How to Treat a Disfellowshipped Person. And the section right below it is called Head Coverings, When and Why. God, I cannot escape this clusterfuck of a mess. All this sounds so great. I need to cover this entire book at some point. Okay. Let's stay on track. I refuse to lose the thread here. So here's what it says under the section, How to Treat a Disfellowshipped Person, in the God's Love book by Jehovah's Witnesses. How should we treat a disfellowshipped person? The Bible says, stop keeping company with anyone called a brother who is sexually immoral, or a greedy person, or an idolater, or a reviler, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, not even eating with such a man. Regarding everyone who does not remain in the teaching of the Christ, we read, do not receive him into your homes, or say a greeting to him. For the one who says a greeting to him is a sharer in his wicked works. We do not have spiritual or social fellowship with disfellowshipped ones. The Watchtower of September 15th, 1981, page 25 stated, a simple hello to someone can be the first step that develops into a conversation and maybe even a friendship. Would we want to take that first step with a disfellowshipped person? Well then, That is extremely fascinating, and that's only the second paragraph of a 6-paragraph section. Let me quote some literature for you. This is the July 2009 Awake, page 29. Although the Bible makes a clear distinction between true and false teachings, God allows each person the freedom to choose how he or she will respond. No one should be forced to worship in a way that he finds unacceptable or be made to choose between his beliefs and his family. Does study of the Bible lead to family breakup? No. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Sounds like we're on the same page then. Except you bring this up to a Jehovah's Witness, as I did with my mom years ago when it came out, they'll tell you you're misinterpreting what it said. You're ignoring context. The Watchtower Society was talking about converting into Jehovah's Witnesses, not converting out of Jehovah's Witnesses. See, that's the difference. It only applies to them if they want it to. Silly for me to think otherwise. Okay, now there was another piece of Jehovah's Witness propaganda cited in the Elder's Handbook. It was the 2002 Kingdom Ministry. This one is actually pretty hard to find because it isn't super public. There's a section in there about how to treat expelled ones, which is pretty much just citing the God's Love book that we already read and adding its own little flair. Then there's a section called In the Immediate Household. It says, does this mean that Christians living in the same household with a disfellowshipped family member are to avoid talking to, eating with, and associating with that one as they go about their daily activities? Okay, now they've posed the question. If they don't outright say, no, people should not avoid family members with whom they live, then they're pretty much saying you should either shun family members with whom you live or just kick them the fuck out. So let's continue the paragraph. What's their answer to the question? Should we continue eating with disfellowshipped family members? It says, the Watchtower of April 15th, 1991, in the footnote on page 22 states, if in a Christian's household there is a disfellowshipped relative, that one would still be a part of the normal day-to-day household dealings and activities. I just want to point out that they're citing from their own literature now. Not from the Bible, they're citing from footnotes from literature that they wrote decades ago. Okay, I still haven't really gotten a solid answer on it. Let's hear a no, you shouldn't shun family members with whom you're living, please. Then it says, thus it would be left up to the members of the family to decide on the extent to which the disfellowshipped family member would be included when eating or engaging in other household activities. And yet, they would not want to give their brothers with whom they associate the impression that everything is the same as it was before the disfellowshipping occurred. Wow, that is fucked up on so many levels. So not only did they come out with a half-assed, wishy-washy answer, they outright said, it's up to you, but the people at the Kingdom Hall will be watching what you do, so probably don't even have a family dinner with them. They can sit in their fucking bedroom while the rest of the family eats dinner. How fucked up is that? Seriously. This is fucking batshit crazy. These people are poison to the core. Imagine a 14-year-old kid being shunned by their parents, brothers, and sisters because they made out with a girl at school. Being told to go to their bedroom while the rest of their family eats because they don't want to be around them. Think of the kind of emotional problems that stem from that kind of treatment. This isn't some edge case. This shit happens every single day. I've talked to multiple kids who are going through this exact treatment right now with their families. And you think it gets easier from there? No. If they do anything that could possibly be viewed as questionable, like, for example, make friends with kids from school, since nobody from the Kingdom Hall will even fucking look at them, the parents will kick their asses out on the street. 14 years old. Damn the law. Damn Child Protective Services. Damn prison for the child neglect. They don't care. They're expected to, outright told, to neglect their children. It's right there in black and white. Fuck this religion. Fuck everything about it. Okay, I'm getting a little worked up here. Remember, this article that I'm reading to you guys is what's supposed to be read to Jehovah's Witnesses parents who aren't properly shunning their children. Let's take another look at the article in the God's Love book. Even the name of the book is so telling about how they view God. This is God's love. This is how you show love to God, withholding love from other people. Okay, here's what the next paragraph says. Is strict avoidance really necessary? Yes, for several reasons. First, it's a matter of loyalty to God and His Word. We obey Jehovah not only when it is convenient, but also when doing so presents real challenges. Love for God moves us to obey all His commandments, recognizing that He's just and loving, and that His laws promote the greatest good. Second, withdrawing from an unrepentant wrongdoer protects us and the rest of the congregation from spiritual and moral contamination, and upholds the congregation's good name. Third, our firm stand for Bible principles may even benefit the disfellowshipped one. 1. By supporting the decision of the Judicial Committee, we may touch the heart of a wrongdoer who thus far has failed to respond to the efforts of the elders to assist him. Losing precious fellowship with loved ones may help him to come to his senses, see the seriousness of his wrong, and take steps to return to Jehovah. Right, so they made 3 points here, one of which I forgot to address from the Elder's Handbook. Now, all of these 3 points are completely off-the-wall ridiculous and can be dismissed with a couple of simple counter-arguments. Point 1. It's a matter of loyalty to God. Counter-argument? Who fucking cares? What if I say I don't agree? What loving God would demand this of somebody? Point 2. You don't want to get the filthy sinner on you and risk doing the same things. Well, here's the issue with that. They associate with people in the world all the time, and they don't resort to their way of life. Why are disfellowshipped people unique? You can't be around certain specific people without falling into their lifestyle? No. I'll tell you why. Here's a little known fact about Jehovah's Witnesses. They are insanely superstitious. They believe in witchcraft and everything. They're super careful about shopping at garage sales because some object they buy there may carry demons into their house. It's next level insane. The reason why they'll talk to people in the world but not disfellowshipped people is because they believe that disfellowshipped people have been possessed by Satan. They think their minds have been corrupted and occupied by demons. There is absolutely no other explanation for why somebody would know the truth and then leave it behind. I'm quoting them there. That's what they say. And another point on that subject. What if I'm not sinning? What if I'm not living a sinful life, even in their eyes? I'm not, personally. I don't fornicate, I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't do drugs, I don't do anything that could be disfellowship worthy. I don't even live with somebody out of wedlock. Just me and Alpha Force Zero kicking it together. Now, there are some things I do that they'd view as questionable. The only thing I'd say I could be disfellowshipped for is smoking an e-cigarette. I'd at least be frowned upon for having ear piercings. But that's nothing serious. You can find people who break way more rules than that in the world, but they shun me anyways. Ultimately, it has nothing to do with points 1 or 2. It all boils down to point number 3. It might force somebody to come back just so they can see their families again. Yeah, that's true. It might. And that's called undue influence, a phrase picked up by Stephen Hassan. It means influence by which a person is induced to act otherwise than by their own free will or without adequate attention to the consequences. So pushing kids to get baptized at 8 years old would be undue influence. They can't possibly know the consequences of what they're doing. They're signing a lifelong contract with a company, and if they break that contract, the company will take their parents and their brothers and their sisters away, no matter how old they are when the contract is violated. Here's another example, forcing them to rejoin a religion just to get their families back. As they state in point 3, right out in the open. That's the real goal of disfellowshipping. It's disgusting. It's harmful. It's horrific. It's inhumane. It's wrong. It's unnatural, if there is such a word. And the Watchtower Society should be fined out of existence for it. They should be fined for every instance of human rights violations, in accordance with Articles 18 and 20 of the UN Declaration of Human Rights. Article 18. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom, either alone or in community with others and in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. And Article 20. Everyone has the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association, and no one may be compelled to belong to an association. They will fail financially eventually. We'll get them. They're on their way out right now, and they have no more than 30 years before they have to revise all their doctrine again to account for the second generation teaching anyways. Just give it some time. We'll get there. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Follow me on Patreon and Discord, and all social media. I'm on Facebook, and I do a bunch of weekly stuff like memes and articles and posts about my life and stuff like that, so check it out. Also, check out my science channel and my podcast. And support smaller YouTube channels by checking out the secret link of the day. All links are in the description, as always. Thanks for watching, guys.